Hi everyone, welcome back. So today I'm starting my mystery series, kind of like crime, true crime, disappearances, all that stuff. So I'm gonna get into it now. Just before I start, I just want to give a little disclaimer. I mean no disrespect to anybody that I talk about in this, and that I'm just doing it for educational purposes. I mean no disrespect. Any information that I've gotten has been off the internet or documentaries that I've watched. So yeah. So the first case we're going to talk about is the Ted Bundy case. So Theodore Robert Bundy was born the 24th of November 1946. He was how do we go about this? We'll go from when he was younger. Growing up, Ted had a very difficult relationship with his stepfather. It wasn't good, it wasn't healthy, he was bullied a lot. He was bullied in school, I think, as well, for having a stepfather. The mother didn't really do anything. So skip a few years later and he's in college. I think it was the University of Utah he was studying in. I can't remember. I know there's 3 pinpoints for the murders. I know it's Colorado, Seattle and Utah he did his murders in, that they know of anyway. So yeah, he went off to college. He was studying law, which is surprising. Someone that's studying law commits all these murders, and you're like, how do you do this knowing that you want to do something in the future, that you're doing what you're doing, but you're going to justify someone for doing, like, you get me? Like, I just don't get that. If you're studying law and you're breaking the law, why are you a lawyer, like, studying to be a lawyer? To my mind, that is just baffled. So between 1970 to 1974, he had a girlfriend called Liz. They met in a bar. Liz had only had a child a couple of months back, so she was a bit iffy about going out. So this was Molly. When they got in a relationship, Ted got really close to Molly. She was kind of like his daughter, and he was like her father to her, and it was like it was a good relationship. They had a good relationship. He didn't show any negative things towards Liz or Molly. He kept all of the murders very secret though. So the first victim was in 1974. Her name was Linda Ann Healy. She was 21 years old. She was a senior at University Washington. If you just don't know, I have my little book down here. That's why I'm looking down a lot, because I'll remember, like, if I look down a couple of times and I'll look up, I'll be like, grand. But I tend to forget if I don't write it down. So she was at a bar. So he was at the bar as well, and he kind of just suggested to go home, and unfortunately that she didn't know that was her last night of living, and he murdered her. I'm not going to go into how he murdered his victims, because that just makes me uncomfortable and I don't want to put anybody else through that, but she was his first victim that they know of anyway. And she was found dead as well. I'll tell you how she died. It was suffocation. So I'm not going to go into big details about how he suffocated her or anything. It's funny how, like, he was keeping this all from, like, Liz. The police describe it like he had 2 personalities. It was like family Ted. He was that guy that had that family. He was always there for them no matter what. And then other Ted that was evil, because that's the best way to describe it. He was evil. He did these horrible things to girls, and he murdered them, and he did horrible things to them that I hope to God they found peace now, and that they're not in misery wherever they are in the universe, because I don't know if I believe in heaven or hell, because right now I'm just like, universe. So I hope they found some sort of peace, and the families have found some sort of peace from his trial, because I'm pretty sure he defended himself during the whole trial, which is a bit stupid of him. because you're gonna get yourself caught out. He got himself out as well in his interview with the police. So then he was in 1974, he was at a lake, and where he killed 2 women as well, because I think it was like a little lake party that he was at, and he had the little sling, and he used to get his victims like this. He used to get a sling and he'd be like, can you help me pull the boat onto my car? And they used to help him. They used to go off, believe him, that he had a, I don't even know what he used to say about his arm. I think he used to say it was fractured or something, and he'd have to hold it like that in a sling, and he'd get them and they'd bring him off, and yeah, that's how he got his victims. So in the future of him and Liz, let's put it that way. I keep doing that with my hands, I need to stop doing that. So yeah, in the future with him and Liz, from 1970 to 1974, let's say, Liz seen a photograph in the newspaper, and she said that it looks a bit like him, and she was a bit iffy. So she called in anonymously to the police, and she said, is this the man you're looking for, blah blah blah. Gave the name of his car, which was a Volkswagen. They said it was the wrong colour though, but they said they'd investigate. So she was the one that actually got him caught. So it was one night when he was driving home, and the police just pulled him over and just asked him a few questions, and they looked in the back of the car and they found a bag, duct tape, ski mask, and I think tights as well, which they were like, what? So they brought him in and they sat him down and asked him a few questions, and then they asked, was he been to Colorado? And he said no, but that was false, because he had been to Colorado, where one of his victims were. So I'm pretty sure this happened when he was arrested. Before he got arrested, he attacked a girl called Carol, and she was the only one to escape him. And when they had him in the police station, she managed to point him out in that little witness box, and they like put each person that they think did it, each suspect in front of them, and she's to point out which one, and they have to say a certain thing. They go like number 7. If anybody's seen Brooklyn Nine-Nine, where they do that thing, that's what that is. You know what I mean, when they sing the, like, I think it's Backstreet Boys, I can never tell. I'm pretty sure that's when they like say I Want It That Way or something, and they sing it. That's kind of the setting they had for when she went to say like that's him. So straight away they had a court hearing and he was bailed out, but he was not done yet. It was a very long journey from where they were to how they got him in prison for what they need, because he was put onto death row. And yeah, so he managed to escape prison. He got out, he went off, he was murdering again. He murdered 2 frat girls. He ended up back in prison in Florida this time though. So the court, the whole case, I can't remember what they call it. It's when they're in the court and jury and all that. I can never remember the name of it. But this was the start of a very, very long case, because there were so many victims and there were so many things that you didn't own up to as well. And like the jury knew it was him straight away. Like, he wanted to defend himself as well. And the way they describe him was, he was just a very evil person the whole time it was happening. And he just didn't have anything to back himself up, and no good explanations to where he was at, like, let's say that time during 1974 or 1976. Like, he just hadn't like good what do you call it, where like the police say like, where were you at this time, alibi. he didn't have a good alibi for certain things. So I'm not going to go through all the victims because there's 30 victims and I'm not going to have enough time. If you want to look it up, go ahead. I know the case took a good few months to get through because Liz was going through a hard time, especially with her new boyfriend slash fiance, because she had a drinking problem as well, and she was drinking the whole time, and Molly witnessed a lot of that, and it just took an impact on her, Liz especially, getting through all that because she couldn't believe someone lied to her about that, and it was just in shock. She couldn't believe that he did this. Like, she didn't believe it until the cases. And she went to prison one day and just asked him out the street, did you do it? And he confessed. So yeah, he confessed to 30 murders while he was in prison after he'd been convicted for life in prison, but also he was sentenced to death row, I think. I don't know how the justice system works over there, but I think it was a certain amount of years in prison and then death row as well. So I have it here somewhere. So he was executed in 1989 on the 24th of January. All I can say is if you want to look up a lot of the victims, go ahead. I just didn't want to go on too much in this, especially because it's my first ever crime video. But a lot of his victims were brutally murdered, and I hope those women are at peace and the family are at peace and they found some sort of closure. This man was evil. He was evil and he deserved what he got, and I hope that I know that he had another relationship while he was in prison, while he was going through this court case, and that woman had a child as well. I didn't get the name because I don't want to put her name in here as well. And then, imagine this went viral or something, which I highly doubt would go viral. Me, for God's sake, I would never go viral. But I can't go over the case, and I hope I did a good job on it. And yeah. So if you wanted me to do more of these, let me know. I'll try to put more effort into it. I just wanted to kind of keep it slow and basic for my first one and not put too much information into it. So yeah, thanks for listening. Enjoy.